Close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're diving. Deep. Deeper still. But this time, you're not descending into the modern ocean, with its sharks and whales and familiar creatures. You're going back, hundreds of millions of years back, and what's waiting for you down there will shatter everything you thought you knew about life on this planet. No dinosaurs roam the land. No mammals. No birds in the sky. The Earth is an alien world, and the ocean is its only kingdom. Welcome to a time when the sea wasn't just deeper. It was more dangerous, more alive, and more bizarre than anything we can fully imagine today. This is the story of prehistoric marine gigantism, and it starts nearly 500 million years ago. The Ordovician period, around 470 million years ago. No fish you'd recognize exists yet. No sharks, no seals, no whales. The ocean is a strange and alien place, packed with creatures that look like they were designed by something that had never seen an animal before. And ruling over all of it is Endocerus. Picture a cephalopod, a relative of modern squid and nautiluses. Now give it a massive, pointed conical shell jutting from its head like an enormous ice pick. Then make it up to 6 meters long and nearly 700 pounds. That's Endocerus. And in its time, it was the most terrifying thing alive. Its giant shell wasn't just for show. It provided protection from smaller creatures trying to nibble at its soft body. It controlled buoyancy, and most importantly, it was a signal to everything else in the water. Do not mess with me. But here's the thing. Endocerus didn't become a giant because of cold water or oxygen levels or any complex ecological pressure. It became a giant for a much simpler reason. There was nothing else stopping it. In the Ordovician seas, there were no fast predators, no agile hunters. Everything was slow, simple, and awkward. And in an ecosystem full of sluggish, primitive life, size alone was enough to make you untouchable. Endocerus didn't need speed, it didn't need intelligence, it just needed to be too big for anything else to bother. And so it grew. And then it kept growing. Because here's a pattern you're going to see over and over again in this story. When apex predators have no real competition, their only competition becomes each other. Endocerus was essentially locked in an arms race with itself, each generation pushing slightly larger than the last because a bigger shell meant better protection against other Endocerus trying to eat you. But evolution is ruthless. When faster, more agile predators eventually began to appear, early sharks, armored fish, new hunters with new weapons, that magnificent shell became a liability. Predictable, slow, awkward. And just like that, the age of the giant orthoceridids was over. Something new had to take the throne. And before you picture the small, creepy scorpions you might find under a rock, understand that the largest of these, Jacalopterus, grew over 8 feet long. They weren't big because of oxygen. They weren't big because of temperature. They were big because the moment Endocerus started fading out, the entire ocean ecosystem became a free-for-all. Every creature was suddenly competing with everything else. Early fish, new invertebrates, evolving prey species. The ocean was reshuffling its hierarchy. And in a reshuffling ecosystem, the creatures that scaled up the fastest claimed the top spot. Bigger bodies meant more strength, more reach, more crushing power in those claws. In the shallow seas of the Silurian and early Devonian, the Eurypterids dominated. But even they wouldn't last. Because the Devonian period brought something new to the arms race. Armor. Fish began evolving thick, bony plates covering their bodies. Not just scales, real armor plating, like living tanks. And when your prey is suddenly wearing armor, you have two choices. Evolve stronger jaws, or get eaten yourself. Evolution chose stronger jaws. This is how Dunkleosteus came to exist. And Dunkleosteus is not a fish you want to meet. Growing up to 30 feet long, with a head that was essentially a solid block of armored bone, this was the final boss of the Devonian arms race. Its jaws didn't have teeth in the traditional sense. Instead, it had two razor-sharp bony blades that could snap shut with the force of a hydraulic press, capable of slicing through almost anything in the water. We know Dunkleosteus hunted other Dunkleosteus because we found their fossils bearing the bite marks of their own kind. Just like Endocarus millions of years before, the apex predator's only real enemy was itself. The arms race had once again looped back into a battle of giant against giant. The pattern was becoming clear. Deep Time kept writing the same story, just with different characters. Fast forward to the late Cretaceous. Around 80 million years ago, the asteroid that would end the age of dinosaurs hasn't hit yet, and the oceans are unlike anything the world has seen before or since. Sea levels are dramatically higher than today. Vast, shallow inland seas cover large portions of the continents. Warm water, enormous reef systems, explosive marine productivity. The ocean is absolutely teeming with life. And with life comes food. And with food comes giants. This is why the Cretaceous oceans were full of enormous marine reptiles. Mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, pliosaurs. Creatures that had no real equivalent before or since. But among all the monsters of the Cretaceous Sea, one stands out for being both the most unexpected and the most strangely relatable. Meet Archelon, a turtle. Not the kind of turtle you'd find at a beach today, gently paddling through the shallows. Archelon was over 13 feet long, with a shell wider than most cars and flippers built for crossing entire oceans. It weighed over 4,000 pounds. It was, simply put, a turtle the size of a small car. And it wasn't big because of any special metabolic trick or environmental pressure. It was big because the Cretaceous Ocean was a battlefield. And the only way to survive a battlefield is to be too large to bother with. Even today, its descendants carry a faint echo of that ancient gigantism. The leatherback sea turtle, the largest turtle alive, can still reach over 2,000 pounds, a shadow of its prehistoric ancestor, but a giant by any modern standard. So if these giant builds were so spectacularly successful, if size kept winning the arms race, era after era, why don't we see them anymore? Where are the giant sea scorpions? The armored fish the size of school buses? The monster turtles? The most obvious answer is extinction. When an asteroid 6 miles wide hits the planet and obliterates the food chain, even the most successful body plan gets wiped off the board. It doesn't matter how big or tough or well armored you are. You cannot evolve fast enough to outrun a global catastrophe. But extinction alone doesn't explain the full picture. Because even in the 66 million years since the mass extinction, reptilian gigantism hasn't made a comeback. And that's not just bad luck, that's biology. Modern oceans are dominated by warm-blooded predators. Orcas, sperm whales, great white sharks. These animals can sprint, chase, regulate their own body temperature, and operate in cold, deep water for extended periods. A cold-blooded, 40-foot marine reptile simply can't compete with that. Its metabolism can't sustain the energy demands. It can't hunt efficiently in colder water. And crucially, the enormous prey items that once made such gigantism viable, giant ammonites, massive fish, enormous slow-moving turtles, are simply gone. The entire ecosystem that supported prehistoric marine gigantism was dismantled, and without it, the giants couldn't return. But here's the thing. Marine gigantism never truly ended. It just changed its cast. The giant squid still grows over 40 feet long. The sperm whale, the largest predatory animal on Earth, evolved specifically to hunt creatures that massive, diving to extraordinary depths in the same twilight zones that ancient endocheras once patrolled. The blue whale remains the single largest animal in the history of life on this planet. Bigger than any mosasaur. Bigger than any prehistoric sea creature we've ever found. The arms race never stopped. It just handed the baton to different players. And somewhere in the deepest ocean trenches, in waters that no sunlight ever touches, creatures are still evolving, still growing, still locked in the same ancient competition that produced endocheras and Dunkleosteus and Archelon hundreds of millions of years ago. The ocean's age of giants never ended. It just moved to places we haven't looked yet.